Hey guys, in this video, let's first try to know a little bit more about the plus operator. As we've seen, it's basically used for two purposes. One is the concatenation of strings, and the other, the normal addition. Okay, and then let's try to know what primitive data types are and their default values. Okay, so as we've seen, this is the program we've been working on. So in this, when we did a string plus string, the resultant was a string. So here it did the job of concatenation. And then a number plus a number, it did addition. So the resultant was a number again. Then a string plus number was a string again. That means it has done concatenation again. It has performed the concatenation operation. Okay, considering this 5 also to be a string. Now let's just see what happens if we do something of this sort, okay? So we have a string plus a number plus another number, okay? I'll save this and I'll open my command prompt. Okay, I'm entering CMD here itself. Is the reason behind this is that uh, your control basically should be in that particular folder wherein you've saved your file, okay? So the other way of doing this is using your cd command, okay? So let me show that. Suppose I'm in my D directory already. To move into a child directory, I do cd space the folder name, okay? So Java program is my folder name. I can use tab to autofill the name, okay? So cd, that means change directory to whichever folder you want to go into, enter. And your control will now go into that particular folder. Okay, so you'll have to keep repeating this from wherever you are. If you want to go back to the parent directory, you do cd space two dots. Okay. Um, okay, so now I'm in the folder where I have my program. I have to compile my program. It's saved as hello world.java. So .java. Okay, just in case you're having some trouble in using Java C or Java, that means either you've not downloaded or installed your Java correctly onto your system, or you've not set the environment variables, the system environment variables. Okay, so I've compiled my program. Now I just have to execute it. So Java space hello world. The class loader will consider only .class files. I mean, it contains only .class files, so you do not have to mention .class specifically. So, okay, the output here is hello world space 53. Okay, that means it is considered 5 and 3 literally itself. See, in the previous step, when you've done hello world plus 5, that means a string plus a number, it has displayed the resultant as a string itself. Okay, because I mean, it has done concatenation considering 5 also to be a string. This time, when you're doing hello world plus 5 plus 3, what happens is since it evaluates from left to right, okay, it always does this. So what it initially considers is just this much, hello world plus 5. So string plus number gives a string. Now the resultant string plus 3. So again you have a string plus number which will again become a string. So the resultant of this whole thing is hello world 5 3. Everything considered as strings. Now if I do something of this sort, okay, I put this 5 plus 3 at the beginning. 5 plus 3 plus hello world. And let's see what happens. I'll first clear my screen. So Java C Okay, so now it's showing 8 hello world. That is because initially, see, let's just go step by step, okay? So first what it considers is just this 5 plus 3. Number plus number gives a number. So your resultant number 8 plus a string. Number plus string gives a string. So what you get finally is the string 8 hello world. 8 is the resultant of these two numbers initially. Okay? If we had something like this, a number plus string, it shows a string. Okay? So I hope this is clear. Now let's proceed to the next program. Okay? So our next topic is primitive data types. Okay? Okay, so you're familiar with what data types are, right? When you declare variables or, variables are basically containers, right? They contain some kind of data which is of a particular type within them. So in Java, these are classified into object-oriented types and non-object-oriented types. Okay, so the non-object-oriented types itself are the primitive data types. These can again be classified into the following. So under them you have integer type, floating point, boolean, and character. So under integer, you know what integers are, right? You do not allow a decimal part or a fractional part of the value. Okay. So under integer again you have byte, short, int, and long. Okay, these are in the ascending order of their sizes. Byte is just of 1 byte in size, short is of 2 bytes, int of 4 bytes, and long of 8 bytes. And under floating point type, we again have float and double. Float is of 4 bytes and double is of 8 bytes. And under Boolean, we just have a single one which accepts either true or false. Okay. And under character, we have just the char, char. Okay. And char is again of size 2 bytes. So in total, we have 8. 4 plus 2, which is 6. 6 plus 1 plus 1. We have 8 primitive data types. Okay. Now let's just try to declare variables of these types, and then we'll just print their values without assigning them values explicitly. Let's try to see what values they get after we've just declared them. That means these are their default values. Okay, so first of all, let me import some packages. Import java.io.start. Java.lang is a default package, okay? Whether you import it or not, it is imported into each and every Java program. So I've imported my java.io package, and then I'll write my class, let's say default val. Okay, so let's first save this file, okay? Let's say, hold on, the class name is default val, so default val.java. Sorry. Okay. Now, class can contain both data and methods. So in the data section, let's declare the variables which we want, right? So let's copy paste each of these types, byte b, short s, int I. The declaration is simple, okay, like we've done in other languages, programming languages. It's pretty simple for primitive data types. Float f, double d, boolean, sorry, b, char c. Okay, I think I've given the same name to both byte and boolean, so let's make this bo. Fine. Now let's write our main method. So public static void main. Sorry. Okay. Now we just have to print the values of these variables. Did we get 8 here? 4 plus 4, 8. Yeah. Okay. So system dot out dot println, again, byte space the variable. Okay. I'll copy paste this so that our job will get easier. Byte short int long float. Okay, wait. Let's just try to run it till here and check if we have any errors. Okay, we do have errors. It says non-static variable b cannot be referenced from a static context. Okay, so for this you'll have to understand what static is. See, basically when you're writing a class, it's basically like your template, okay? And then each object of this particular class will have its own set of these variables which you've declared here. But then variables and methods, okay? But when you say something is static, like my main, I've declared it as static. That means all the objects of this particular class share a common method in this case. Okay, they do not have their own copies of it. We'll understand it in more. We'll understand it better as we know more about static. But for now, I think this basic understanding should be good enough. So what we can do to solve this problem is you declare an object of your class. So you declare it by, see, like you've declared your variables for your primitive data types, you just specified the data type followed by the variable name, right? So similarly, here your class name is your data type. It's basically like your data type. And then you give your variable name. Let's say df equals new. Okay. This is how you basically declare an object for your class. Okay. This is a constructor. So what you're basically doing here is using the constructor, you're basically calculating how much memory should be allocated to your object, okay, based on the variables and all. And then once you calculate the memory, uh, you you see what values are to be given to those variables, and using your new, you're actually allocating that particular memory location to your object. Okay, so you create a reference variable to the memory which you've created, which contains your set of data declared here, and their with their initial values, and this is all given to this particular object. Okay, so now using the object, we're using the variable within that particular object. So df.p, df.s, df, this is how we access variables within the object. Okay, so df.i, and then we have df.l for the long type, and df dot, this is float f. We need a few more copies of this. Okay, so float is done, then double, boolean, and char. Double is d, boolean bo, char c. So I think we're done with the program. Let's just check. Great. So we've no errors this time. Okay. So byte 0. Here's what you're showing. Okay. You've just declared the variables. You've not explicitly given them any values. Okay, to store. So whatever value it has is the default value of that particular data type. So byte, we're showing byte followed by the variable we've created for byte. And that is how it is for all the data types. So byte 0, short 0, int 0, long 0. That means for all the integer type variables, your default value is 0. And then coming to the floating point type, float 0 0.0, double 0 0.0. So they have 0 0.0 as their default value. And then boolean, which can hold either true or false, has false as its default value. Okay, so when you do not specify anything, by default it contains false. And character, you see it's not showing any value here. So it's basically like our null. Okay, internally it's like \u followed by 4 zeros. This is what char has by default. Okay.